Have you ever had a job that forced you to shove your ethics in the closet? Hi, I'm Tiffany Higgins, author of What Happened to the Oranges. And in A Job's a Job, I'm going to do just that. A job's a job. I stared at the screen, impatient. What was I supposed to write? Wasn't like I'd done this before. Where do I begin? Where do you think I should begin? I asked my guest. That can't be right. If you're going to be rude, maybe just keep your mouth shut. Next came the clattering of the chair legs. The ruckus was obnoxious. My guest's welcome already wearing thin. I'll just do it myself, I declared, and returned to my keyboard. He slammed the chair harder, destroying my concentration. I stood, walked over, and punched him in the face. He crumpled, slumping against the chair. Silence. I returned to my seat. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. Your ransom. How much do you think you're worth? He didn't answer. Nothing, huh? You're probably right. My laughter bounced off the walls, echoing back hollow and sharp. Still, that ransom note hadn't written itself, and I was going to have to do it. Dear Sir or Madam, I typed. Too formal, too impersonal. Delete, start over. If you ever want to see your beloved Jimmy again, that was better. Then follow the instructions precisely. If you should stray from the course, then your loved one will suffer the consequences. I heard the sound of groaning behind me. The guest of honor was stirring. I tapped the disk icon to save my work. I brought myself to stand in front of my guest again. We gonna have a problem? He shook his head emphatically. Sit there quietly and don't make a sound. Can you do that? He nodded agreeably. All the fight had drained out of him. I raised my hand. He flinched. I patted him gently on the cheek. He whimpered. I returned again to the ransom note. It was nearly perfect. It was only missing one detail. I turned in my chair. If I remove the gag, are you going to scream, shout, and yell? Because no one will hear you. You will only succeed in pissing me off. You've already seen what happens when you piss me off. You don't want me to hit you again, do you? He shook his head. Keeping my temper in check, I removed the gag. Look, man, I think you have the wrong guy. I'm a nobody. Nobody cares enough to pay for me, and I don't have a penny to my name. Bullshit, I spat. I saw your apartment. Took you from your bed. He started laughing, a loud sort of guffaw of laughter. I lifted an eyebrow and waited. Dude that lives there's my buddy. He's out of town. I've been crashing there. Squatting, really. He doesn't even know. I raised the other eyebrow. Check the photos. Not one has me in it. Go see for yourself if you don't believe me. I put the gag back on. I scrubbed my hands over my face. I felt my frustration returning. I grabbed the chair and dragged him toward the closet. He protested. Shut up. He obeyed. Blessed silence. I stuffed him in the closet I'd reinforced for exactly this. I closed the door and secured it with a padlock. The padlock featured a word lock, a word that I'd chosen for myself. E-E-R-F would free him. I leaned against the door. I could hear the muffled sounds of movement. He wasn't attempting escape, just shifting, settling into his restraints. Wrong guy. Was it possible? I shook off the feeling of dread as I returned to the ransom note. All I had to do was write a few instructions to be followed. Once the ransom had been paid, I'd collect my fee and be on my way. The instructions were simple, almost friendly, just enough to make them feel watched, even if no one was there. Along the way, they would collect a key to a locker down at Central Station. Inside that locker, they would find a laptop supplied by my employer. With the laptop, they would uncover the final instructions for paying the ransom. I printed the note. My employer had supplied me with an old-fashioned Polaroid camera. I loaded it and returned to the closet. E. I scrolled the first tumbler into place. E. Then the second. R. The third tumbler clicked. F. The lock slid free. I opened the door. His eyes were pleading, his face streaked with tears. He made no sound. The old camera whirred, mechanical and loud. I smiled. New tech never delivers sound like that. I leaned against the door jamb while I awaited the final exposure. Jimmy, at least I hoped it was Jimmy, faded slowly into view. The tears came last, blooming like bruises as the image sat. "Perfect," I said as I closed the door and secured the padlock. I snatched the paper from the printer tray. I trifolded the note with the image at its center. I slid it into an envelope and sealed it with a damp sponge. The doorbell rang. I'd finished my missive just in time. My employer had sent a messenger to collect the ransom note and deliver it to the family. I tidied up the borrowed home. On a post-it, I scrawled EERF. I stuck it to the closet door. I took one last look around, gathered up the few items I brought with me, and slipped into the garage. 10 minutes later, I was flying down the coastal highway toward my favorite burger shack. With my part of the job finished, there was nothing left to do but wait for the ka-ching sound my phone would make when the payment arrived in my bank account. This and other stories, filled with moral dilemmas and quiet defiance, can be found in What Happened to the Oranges, available on Amazon.